This call is now being recorded.
Hi, Evan. How are you?
I'm well, my good friend Reno. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, Evan.
That's great. How's your day been so far?
My day's been great. I've messaged a lot of people about trying to shoot some ads for my upcoming commencement that I'm trying to put together and for my final show promo.
Oh, so how's it all coming?
I think it's all coming quite well. I'm very excited for this interview, Evan. You said you got 22 questions for me?
Yeah. Are you ready to just jump right into it?
It's up to you, Evan. I will let you take the reins.
Hey, we might as well. It's gonna be some working through it, so we should get started. The questions are phrased in such a way that allows for you to best take advantage of the memory mentioned in the question. As well, from start to finish of this interview, the questions will increase in complexity and specificity. We're going to start with some softballs, and then it's going to really kick up, okay?
Okay, that sounds great.
First things first, this one is a joint memory between the two of us. I was wondering, Reno, how many spiked lemonade teas you drank from TGI Fridays on June 9th, 2019.
What kind of drinks?
Spiked lemonade teas. It was like a vodka lemonade tea mixture.
Oh yes, from TGI Fridays team. Yeah, I remember that day partly. I think I had 4 or 5 spiked lemonade that day. I think I wanted to take it somewhat easy, but I only had 4 or 5.
Right. No, that was a smart move. That was kind of what we all did. They were sure tasty and $1 that day, so it was very dangerous.
Yeah, they were really tasty. Dang, I forgot about that.
That was a good day. Yeah, we got some apps, and then we had those drinks from TGI Fridays. It was the one on off Anderson, right? Pretty far.
No, we went to Applebee's, I thought.
Oh, was it Applebee's?
Yeah, we went to Applebee's.
Oh, there you go. You're already working hard at these answers. You're coming through. Man, this is a great start. Okay, another food-related question. Question number 2, from which chain was the seasoning that you brought for our macaroni dish / Nathan For You night in 2017?
Man, 2017. Yeah, I made macaroni for you, Colton, and I believe his brother, right?
It was me, Colton, Catherine, Murray.
That's right.
Perhaps there was one other person. We made some cookies, too.
That's right, we made cookies, too.
And you brought an excellent seasoning from this one particular restaurant chain.
I brought Cajun Sparkle from Popeyes.
Ding, 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 ding. Amazing. Your memory's so
I still have some around my house.
Oh, really? Do you cook with it often?
I haven't made mac and cheese in a moment, but sometimes I do use a little Cajun Sparkle for my macaroni and cheese.
It does the trick. It's good stuff. Okay, question number 3. Reno, you're someone who's especially after the work you've done as a DJ on KVRX, you're someone who can who could be identified as a worldly wizard. You are informed on matters all over the globe. You have taken to the destinations of our great pale blue dot, and you've learned quite a bit about different states, different cities, different communities, different environments through your work on Reno's region. The question here, with relation to your episode focusing on Montana, was Montana truly majestic?
I would say Montana was truly majestic in both the landscape that I got to experience and through photos and viewing the beautiful state in my research, and in the music. The music was really majestic as well. Their type of folk music and country music, country rock as they say, is a lot more different than what most people assume those genres of music focus on. It's a lot more light, I would say.
Right.
The percussion's not very, very prevalent in their music.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit calmer, more riding kind of feel.
Exactly, and some of the vocal takes kind of are whimsical. So yeah, I guess Montana is majestic.
Hey. So overall, it was a majestic state to explore and then learn more about.
It was. That's one of my top 5 states I ever got to do on Reno's region, I'd say.
That's awesome. That's really fun. Was that you got a letter from a state official for one of your episodes? Which one was that?
That was West Virginia. I got a letter from the governor of West Virginia stating that he can't leave his post, but he's more than welcome to send some people from forgot exactly what department, to come and be interviewed and talk, and so I can learn more about West Virginia.
Some diplomats.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's fun. You have really gotten a good chance to explore an excellent variety of locations and their cultural imprints, of which there are many, and all of them are very unique, very special, very cool work you've done on Reno's regions. Question number 4. Reno, everyone, when we're living in a normal environment, everyone in the city of Austin flocks to Zilker Park for a weekend or two in the fall for the Austin City Limits Festival, of course.
Right.
What we need to know is, how was day 1 of ACL 2017 weekend 1, and what did Mindy request from Dawn in exchange for her wristband?
I'm very thankful that you thought of that question, because that was the very first time I ever went to ACL. I heard so much about ACL and how you have to go. Right. And I was very, very thankful and shocked that I got to, I guess, answer or fulfill Mindy's request of getting Dawn. She wanted me to get, if I remember right, 10 Dawn meals for her, and I don't remember if it was for her exactly or who were going to get all these Dawn meals. Yeah. But I said, Mindy, I'm on the case. I'll get all 10. And I got all 10 for her, and I dropped them off, and I was so excited. I planned out who I was going to see, and I went to day 1, and I saw Crystal Castles. That was the very first one I saw.
That's awesome.
And then after that, I went to see Skepta, and I was very excited to see Skepta, because he's one of my favorite artists. I remember showing up to the event. I got there kind of late, so I was kind of in the back, and it was just me and this one guy talking about how much we love Skepta, and all his friends were talking about, who's this Skepta guy? And me and him were just looking at each other like, oh, they didn't know this artist. And then Skepta got on, he performed a song, and I'll never forget, he performed the song, he goes, where's my energy at? Where's my energy at? Yeah. And so I remember raising my hand, he goes, you guys move up. So I got to move up into the front, and we formed a huge mosh pit, me and all the energy makers, and I was in that for so long, I was getting sweaty, and I remember this guy pointed at me, he goes, you gotta take your shirt off, you're drenched, man. So I remember I took my shirt off, and I gave it to this random guy to hold for me, and then he disappeared. And then, thankfully, I saw him at the second to last song, got my shirt back. But I was so tired, I couldn't go to any of the other events, because I wanted to see Bonobo, but I was so tired, I just sat next to one of the fans and drank water for like an hour. And then I remember I ended that with watching Jay-Z, and that was an excellent concert. That was one of the best experiences I had here in Austin.
That's very cool. That does sound like a jam-packed day. It is definitely especially in Austin, where it is still somewhat hot, even in that time of fall. You need a little bit of water for good periods of time while at that festival, and especially the water there they have for free at those pumping stations is pretty warm. Yes. So it'd be better to have some colder water. But it's still important to have some water. Certainly. Ended the night with Jay-Z.
Yes, I did.
That's great. Were there any particular songs of his that stood out? Any performances that you really remember?
I really remember "Dirt Off My Shoulders." I remember being really excited for that song.
That's a good one. That's a Jay-Z classic. Yeah.
Did you go to that? Did you go to ACL that year?
No, I had a wristband, but I gave it away because I was busy, and it was for Sunday, I believe. So it was just a jam-packed weekend. I had some DJ trainings, but no, I definitely. Well, actually, I might have had a wristband for 2018. Now that I think about it. Anyways, it's a fun festival for sure, and you sure got a deal too with the Dawn Run there. 10 meals you said, and same for one wristband.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of $100 for a day one pass, it was only about $50 and some change.
That's sweet. That's a good deal. That is a good deal. Okay, here we go. On to the next question. This one's an oldie, or rather it references something of older memory. So we're moving into the part of the interview where the questions are going to get very specific, and hopefully we'll channel some really powerful memories. Question 5, Reno. In your hit tune from one of your several Renoir mixtapes on SoundCloud, okay, in Zamboni song, you talk about how you didn't want another controversy. Can you elaborate on why that is the case?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Oh man, I don't want another controversy. You know, Evan, it's been so long since I made that mixtape. I was listening to a lot of Action Bronson during that time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's what helped inspire that mixtape. And so I think the reason I was talking about controversies is just because I was just thinking about me being a Zamboni driver and trying to like clean the ice as well as I could, and not trying to like do a bad job. I don't want any controversies. Right. You weren't trying to step on anyone's toes or upset anyone. You were just trying to live out things as you would hope to do so without any obstacles. Is that right? Yeah, of course. Right. Much like a Zamboni driver. Much like a Zamboni driver. If you don't know their name, then they did their job right. There you go. That's a good way to put it. This whole mixtape, Reno, is really something. We're curious about if you can remember any of the 6 names featured on the Renoir 2B Reno mixtape. If I can remember any of the people who were also on it? Yeah, from the front cover of the record. Yes, I can. There was Michael the Hot Rod Rodriguez. Yes, there you go. There was Julie and Jules Galena. Beautiful. There was John Tawargena. Yes, that's right. There was Colton Ross. That's right. There was also Andrew Killikeys, remember right? That's right, King Keys, yeah. King Keys. And one more. There's one more? Oh, yeah. Oh, Smokey the Rapper. That's it. Amazing memory. Right. Very, very good. You are going to be hanging on to this information for a while. You clearly have an intact brain. So that's good. That's good news. 31 tracks. Truly, this is a real triumph. Just a quick question. I want to know: did you sit through all 31 tracks? Oh yeah. You're DJ Renoir. We have to know. Okay, I was curious. We have to know. You're DJ Renoir. We have to know. Go ahead. Sorry. It is. You're kind to ask. It's quite a piece of work. This 31 track collection is comprised though of some songs from the 2B Reno mixtape, which really colored your discography in a matured way, moving forward into the work you would produce upon your arrival in Texas. So very interesting progression to be observed there. Next question. This one's a two-parter as well. Reno, our sources went through your online presence and came up with some information about which several of these questions were written.
This is one of them. This is a straightforward question. There's really not much more of a story to this, but I think it's a good question to get to the core of some of your beliefs or ideas. Reno, which soup did you buy, and which candle did you purchase that cost $30?
What soup did I buy, and what candle did I buy that cost $30? I bought a candle recently for $30 from Anthropology, and I don't remember exactly the type of scent it's supposed to be. It's some complex vanilla scent. It's their volcanic ash, I believe, or volcanic something candle.
Interesting.
That was $30. What soup did I buy for $30?
Yes. The questions you claimed to be associated with adulthood. Which soup will you buy? Which candle will you buy that costs $30?
Oh man, that's a great question. I don't know what soup I would suggest for $30. I'd say some excellent chicken noodles, but I don't know. What is it?
Oh, it was never made clear. Our sources never were able to compile an answer. Sort of an open-ended, abstract interpretation of your social media work.
That's my Twitter.
Left up the question. Well, our sources won't reveal where they went to find this information, but you may be correct on that. You may be correct. There's no confirmation. Anyways, we move onwards.
Yes.
Talking about amenities, talking about things like candles and soup, which are so often associated with adulthood. You come to think of a retail experience that resembles that of a very popular home goods, life goods, wellness goods store, where you would occasionally take breaks during classes, in between classes in the massage chairs. So can you tell us if there was a particular position you would assume while hanging out in Bed Bath &
A particular position? I would just sit up in the massage chairs between classes.
You wouldn't like lay back or anything like that, or kick your feet up on an ottoman or something?
I would not. I didn't want to draw too much attention to what I was doing, so I would just try to be as incognito as possible by just sitting up in the massage chairs and kind of just fall asleep.
Nice. That's good. That's a good way to put it. You want to stay as incognito as possible. You don't want to draw any attention to the fact that you are technically loitering.
Yes, exactly.
Doing so with a pulsating push up and down your back, which is very pleasant. Those massage chairs are sure nice.
I highly recommend if anyone has 2.5, 3 hours to kill, go to Bed Bath & Beyond and go sit in the chair.
Just do it. That's a great recommendation. It sounds like a very nice thing to do to take some steam off in between class. Speaking of which, many classes you've taken in your past, many at the York School, we'll get into more detail on that later. One class that seems to stump a lot, may or may not be the case with you, is math class. So, Reno, our sources are curious. When you highlighted the full moon in June, do you remember the license plate on your Toyota Tacoma featured in a picture that accompanied this very important moment?
You know, that's something that's under my nose and something I drive in all the time. I do not know my license plate number. No, I do not.
Oh, it may have changed since, Reno, but our sources indicate. Oh, you still have California plates on your Toyota Tacoma Pre-Runner. Is that correct?
B6, yeah, I'm still a California boy through and through.
Are you ready for the plate?
I am ready for the plate.
The plate is, here's a drum roll, 7D16970. There's your license plate number. Don't ever forget it. Question 9.
I won't.
We move onward. Reno, speaking about math class, speaking about numbers, speaking about measurement, one topic that comes to mind is defining areas quantitatively. And by this, we are speaking specifically of determining a spatial volume or a surface area. Obviously very important mathematical concepts. Reno, we're wondering here, when at the York School, how many Arizona iced teas could you fit in your locker?
I could fit a lot in my locker. You can fit about 4. You can fit about 4 on the bottom, so that's like a row. And I'd have I would never fill it all the way to the top because I was always taught in life, never put all your eggs in one basket.
Of course, never put your Arizona iced teas all in one locker. Of course.
Exactly. And so I had a thing where I had multiple lockers throughout the school, and I'd keep about 15 to 20 in each.
Great. We were curious about that too. That was actually another question. We appreciate your elaboration. You had multiple lockers, and in all of them there were differing amounts of Arizona iced teas, usually around 16 to 20 cans, you say?
Correct, around 15 to 20 cans. And it wasn't always Arizona iced teas. That's the misconception. Sometimes they were fizzy water drinks.
Oh.
And that was the original start of Reno juice. And then that got too costly, and that's why I switched to Arizona iced teas.
What is Reno juice?
Reno juice. So when you go to when you go to any store like Target or H-E-B, they have carbonated water with flavoring, like green apple or grapes. That's what I used to sell. That was the original thing I used to sell.
Oh, it was just you called that Reno juice?
My friends used to call that Reno juice. They colloquially call that Reno juice, and they said that I should sponsor Reno juice should sponsor the York basketball team.
Now this was just store brand flavored carbonated water. Is that correct?
Correct, and that's why they just called it Reno juice.
Amazing. That's a powerful enterprise. Of course, though, yes, that got costly, and everyone knows the price of an Arizona iced tea. It's on the can, obviously. It's $1.
So it's on the can, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great value. How can you deny that? On this topic of math, Reno, we move to our next question. Many things you learn about math while going through school, many different math environments, many different math topics. Reno, we were wondering, which dance move of the different popular X versus Y function graph dance routine was your favorite from Miss Williston's class?
What was my favorite dance move from my XY chart that I had from Miss Williston's class? Probably the sign graph. I was a big fan of the sign graph.
That was a fun one. Yeah, I get to move those hands just up and down and up and down.
Exactly. Get some energy.
Right. Did that help you? That really helped you remember these different functions and the way they look?
Partly, yes. Also, it's just kind of a funny thing to see.
Of course. No, it puts an interesting spin on topics that seem outwards, that seem pretty banal, pretty plain.
Pretty dry or dull, yeah. Pretty dry.
Yeah. You got to reinterpret them, reimagine them in this really special, cool way, that's cool. It's important to have teachers like Miss Williston, and another teacher that comes to mind at the York School, of course, there's not a soul there that has never come into contact with Mr. B, one of the most important history teachers in the history of the York School. Of course, being at the York School since the late 90s. Now, Reno, we're wondering here, which generation history teacher is Mr. B? Because he comes from a British family of many important, very skilled history teachers. You know which generation history teacher he is?
What generation history teacher he is? Mm-hmm. He taught medieval history, I believe.
Or to be specific, which generation in his lineage? Which generation history teacher is he?
Oh, it's like what part of his family is he?
Correct.
I would say that Mr. Barrowman, because he's from Great Britain. Emphasis on great. He's the 5th great British history teacher.
Oh, you're so close. It's the 3rd. He is a 3rd generation history teacher in his family. The Brookman family. He is. That's correct.
That's really impressive. I didn't know that.
Bonus points if you can tell us how he decided that he would want to become a history teacher.
I would just assume that he just really loves history and storytelling, and that's why he got into it.
That's definitely a part of it, but he claims, in a bio written by a fellow professor from the York School, whose name is, drum roll please, for the bio professor, whose name is Lele Bates, of course, a fellow York School faculty member, wrote that Mr. Barrowman helped fellow students while in high school on their history assignments, and realized then perhaps he could have a future doing exactly that. Thus was birthed the important history education career of Michael Barrowman, a legendary York School figure. Reno, on the topic of the York School and of history,
yes,
we're going to dive a bit further into the different sects of history education you received at the York School. In particular, Reno, talking about Hispanic history, and as well Hispanic literary history, Spanish literary history. Reno, we were wondering how helpful the El Dorado Quizlet was for your Spanish final.
The El Dorado Quizlet, just like the City of Gold, was very, very valuable in making sure I passed that class and got an A in that class.
There you go. And you as well were able to spread this information to some other classmates who, there's a chance, our sources are looking more into it and have not yet determined if this is the case, but there's a chance that you may have been on bad terms with them because you liked so many of their Facebook photos and they became frustrated with this. We're still looking into it, though. Our sources are still investigating.
I did pass down Quizlets from me to the younger generation, the younger underclassmen.
Right.
And I did have a period in time in high school where I dubbed myself the light giver, and I would go through people's photos and posts, and I would like their stuff and try to bring it back to life, or back into the light. And I did have some classmates that were not too pleased about that. But as the light giver always says, I mean, if it's worthy of a like, everyone should like it.
Of course. You're just trying to revive the material, back into existence.
It's not my fault. I wasn't friends with you 3 years ago. I would like to, that's a great photo.
Oh yeah, no, you're trying to give them attention that you know they deserve. That's a kind thing, and and hopefully by now they look back on it and say, gee, Reno really provided me with some support there, and I'm forever grateful for that. It's important. It's important. Reno, I've got a few questions on here about some dates. We're going to get into some interesting dates questions. This one's just a starter, Reno, because on 20th September 2012, you had a particularly pleasing day in which you did well on an exam, and the field hockey and volleyball teams both played and won their games. Do you remember who they played?
Okay, if I was having a great day, I was at home, I will go with Greenfield.
Our sources actually do not have an answer to this question, so again, it remains unclear. We have done some research on other dates, which we will provide when given them, when providing which we will offer when the questions arise. But for now, we'll leave this one up in the air. Speaking, Reno, on the topic of sports, you were very involved in track and field. You were a very popular track and field figure at the York School. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Reno, our sources were wondering if it's still too late to donate to Relay for Life in Monterey 2012, which you apparently went to supervise.
I believe it is too late to donate for that year, but I believe Relay for Life is always looking for donations. And I think it's an excellent organization, And I had some of my fondest memories of Monterey going to the Relay for Life event.
Yeah. You'd gone to a few others before?
I've been to the Relay for Life event. I believe I went twice. And
Wow.
both times, my friend Andrew and I looked for the potato salad, because this one lady made some of the best potato salad I've ever had in my life.
You would seek her potato salad out, is that correct?
Yes, we would.
What do you think she added to her potato salad that just made it so especially good?
That's a great question. I don't know. I do know that there were these little white chunks of, I think it was tofu, honestly, that made it just taste great.
Interesting. So tofu and potato salad. That sounds like a neat combination.
What a great combo.
Really? And you know, Reno, you can find other great combos at, of course, a Monterey, Salinas area staple, Michael's Grill and Taqueria, where we were probably going to head for lunch, and we were wondering what you think we should get.
Oh, that's a great question. I would get their blackened chicken house burrito, and I would get my burritos wet. And a wet burrito is where they just put extra sauce on top. And a pro tip is that if you go to Michael's Taqueria and Grill, if you can, I would recommend bringing some Monsters or other energy drinks and ask for the head chef. And when the head chef comes, just hand them a couple and ask if you can get your burrito on the house.
Really? Wow. So a little trade deal, is that what you're suggesting?
Exactly, because those guys run on energy drinks all day, every day, and they don't mind helping someone out if you help them out.
Right. It's a hand for a hand.
Exactly.
Now, but Reno, what if we're maybe looking for something a little bit lighter, and maybe perhaps something with a little more cheese? Do you think a Ranch House quesadilla would be a good recommendation?
I think a Ranch House quesadilla would be excellent.
Okay, that's good to know. We'll note that, and perhaps bring some Monster energy drinks the next time we come. And Reno, another Salinas area, Monterey area community, of course, surrounding the York School, is the athletic program, led by the inimitable Steve Peters.
Peters.
Worked extensively with the track and field teams, with the soccer teams, with the basketball teams. And over time, Reno, he's collected quite a bit of a reputation at the York School. We were wondering, Reno, in which year did Steve Peters become the athletic director at the York School?
Oh, that's a great question. Mr. Peters has been the athletic director at York for a very long time. He's been a staple of the York community for decades. I would say Mr. Peters told me that he was hired by the pro wrestler turned headmaster. That was before the headmaster I had.
Right.
5. I would say 1999.
You're close. He became athletic director in 2004, shortly after he was, which was in the late 90s. You're right.
Okay.
Mr. Peters also worked to introduce certain AP classes into the curriculum at York. So we have him to thank for a number of them. And Reno, additionally, you have him to thank for your records in track and field and different sports at the York School. Reno, in particular, on April 23rd, 2016, you ran a 100-meter race in Hartnell, California. Can you tell us what amount of time you ran that race?
So I remember that day pretty well, Evan. What happened was I hadn't worked out in a long time, and I decided to do squats the day before that race, and that severely tanked my 100-meter time. And if I remember right, I got north of 12 seconds. I think I got a 12.41.
Oh, you are very, very close. You're about a few hundredths of a second off. You actually landed at about 12.94.
94. That's really bad.
Hey, that's okay. That's still quite fast, but that explains that you were feeling you were injured. You were working back your strength, So it was a warming run for you to go on and take other challengers at a better performance level later on in your career.
Exactly.
Is that right? Reno, on the topic of track and field, you're quite familiar with hurdles physically, but this question references some hurdles metaphorically. You had to travel over to organize and found the York Recycling Program. Can you tell us some more about what you had to do to make that happen?
That's an excellent question. So when I was at York, I had a teacher, Mr. Brookhauser, and he did some program at Google, and Google has this thing where they have a 30% project for all their employees. So you work for Google for 70% of your time there, and then you have 30% of paid time to do whatever you'd like. And so my teacher wanted to put that project and put it to us. And so we were allowed to have 1 day a week to work on whatever project we wanted that could better the community. Personally, my mom and I would recycle. And because of recycling, you get money back for your CRV, because in California, we have a special tax on every bottle you buy.
Right.
And I noticed that around the campus, a lot of people would either throw their recyclables in the trash, or they just go to the recycle and not get used.
Oh, okay.
And so I proposed to my teacher that I am on the weekends I would go around and collect all the bottles and cans and turn them in for money, and then give the money back to the school in the form of a financial aid donation. And the school didn't know how to respond to that, and luckily for me, I had a very good working relationship with the headmaster and the people who were in charge of the money, the financial aid office.
Yeah.
And after they talked to, I guess, whoever does liability issues, I got the okay. And for sophomore, junior, and senior year, 3 years, every weekend I would go to the school and collect recyclables and pick out the recyclables from the trash and turn them in for money. And I believe I raised about $3,000 in my time there.
Very cool. So you really had to sort of work through this process to come up with the recycling program as you utilized it and allowed it to benefit the school. Is that correct?
Correct. And there was a lot of red tape, but in life I've learned from that and from many other instances in my life that where there's red tape, there's some big scissors to use.
Right. Of course. That's true. That's a good way to put it. You really had to, and as well, you came up with this incredible contribution. Do you remember, somewhat close to the amount or exactly the amount that you raised for the school?
It was about $3,000. I got about $1,000 a year to do it. And that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but my school is only about 200 kids big from 8th to 12th grade. So there's not a lot of recyclables at all. And so I think that's a pretty impressive feat.
That is. Would you compare your accomplishments to the work that Kramer did in an episode of Seinfeld in which he travels state lines to Connecticut in order to collect money for recycling bottles and cans?
I know exactly the episode you're talking about. I have a friend in high school named Regis, and him and I were both Seinfeld fans. And when he found out about my project, he told me about the episode I hadn't seen before. And so I downloaded it and watched it, and we both died laughing because I'm Kramer. You're right, that is me.
But the difference here, though, is you pursued the project with altruistic ideas in mind. Kramer just wanted to keep the money for himself. You know, Kramer was working the wealth. So you wanted the school to benefit from your efforts, and Kramer only wanted Kramer to benefit from Kramer's efforts. So between the two of you, your work is a little more representable than that of Kramer's.
Agreed.
Did you of the collection of cans that you recycled, did you collect many Arizona iced teas or iced teas that were in your possession?
I did, and so that was kind of the funny part about it is that I have a business at school where I sell recyclables, and then those get put in the trash or recycle bins, and then I turn those in for money.
Right.
So it all cycles through. I always thought it was kind of interesting.
It comes full circle. You really had You had a position in this program that really helped you benefit from your own initiatives. Is that right?
Yes.
That's very cool. That's smart planning. And do you know, by any chance, what the York School did with the money that you raised for them?
From what I remember is it went to financial aid. I don't know exactly how they used it for financial aid, if they use it for scholarships or if that went to, buying books or equipment or what they use it for. But I do know that's the intended use. At least I donated it for.
What do you think is one of the memories that will stand out to you the clearest of your time?
I have so many fond memories of my time at York. One of my favorite ones is during the talent show. I had a lot of friends that wanted me to perform my puns because I'm very well known as a pun meister of sorts.
That you are.
And I didn't want to upstage anyone, and so I did not. But I went, and there were some technical difficulties during or in between one of the performances, and they needed to kill time. And so the MC called upon me to tell some jokes to kill some time.
Right.
And I'll never forget that I was tasked with, filling airtime, and so I asked my friend Austin, who had just performed recently during the talent show, if he knew what a rapper's favorite vegetable was. And my friend Austin thought long and hard. And Evan, what would you say?
Oh, that's an excellent question. A rapper's favorite vegetable?
Correct.
I don't know. I can't exactly pin down this pun. What is it?
A beet.
Oh, yep. That makes sense.
And so, imagine a room full of high schoolers and their parents, and all these high schoolers just erupt in laughter and applause. And all the parents are confused to what is going on? Why is this one kid's one joke, so great? And I'll never forget that moment because that was so funny to me.
That moment of you on stage. That's
a great fond memory. Thank you, Evan, for helping me bring that up again.
Oh, of course. No, that's a really great memory. Your time at the York School, plenty of memories, plenty of fun opportunities. But there was some downtime too, Reno. Of course. And the enthusiasm at the Soledad track meet was perhaps not super high. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
I had severe back issues my junior year, and after I crossed the finish line during the 100 meters, I did collapse and I had to have my coach carry me back to the field.
Oh wow! So you were really working there, and then you all of a sudden sort of had to regain your balance and recollect your figure. That sounds like an intense moment. And this was your junior year meet?
Yes, this is my junior year, if I remember right.
Did you go to Soledad every year for different track meets?
I believe we went every year to Soledad for a track meet.
Okay. Rena, do you think after being in Soledad and running, especially hurting yourself and needing some time to recharge and refuel your body before the next run, do you think it would be wise to stop by Seaside Heights and go into the Costco to get a Reno special?
It would be very advantageous to go to the Seaside Heights. I didn't know that's what it's called. Where the Costco is, and get a Reno special. Yes.
Can you elaborate on the Reno special?
I can. The Reno Special is a very, very wonderful thing. It is I remember right, it's a chicken bake from Costco with a churro and a hot dog, and then their medium-sized drink. And
Correct.
it is not complete unless that medium-sized drink is a suicide. For people who don't know, a suicide is a mixture of all the fountain drinks at the fountain station. And there's a science to it. A lot of people don't know there's a science to it. You gotta lean heavy on you gotta set a foundation with your brown drink, so Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper. You gotta pick one, you can't pick both. And then you start mixing the rest.
You have to establish the base and build from there. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Reno, would you ever be interested in trying a Capri Sun? A company with which you worked extensively. Would you ever be interested in trying a Capri Sun with your Reno meal?
I would. I do like Capri Suns.
Can you tell us about your time in Detroit working for Capri Sun?
I can tell you that was a long, hard summer that me and my family had to endure, and I had to take a job working for Capri Suns, and it was a lot of work, but I mean I got a lot of good product as you can tell from we referencing the profile picture. I aged a bit in it, but I had a lot of Capri Suns behind me.
Right. That's you have to, if you're there, you have to totally immerse yourself in the environment and truly learn to respect the pouch by tasting it, by being around it, by absorbing it into your body. That's
exactly. You gotta be one with the pouch.
Reno, do you think that if Jimmy had more Capri Sun, that he wouldn't be dead? Because of course, Jimmy's dead.
I think if Jimmy had some Capri Suns, he could have protected himself and not died.
You think so?
Yeah. Do you know what that's a reference to?
No. Can you elaborate?
So, I can. So, back in freshman year of high school, we had to read books, of course, freshman year English high school, and there was this book, I believe it was a Shakespeare book that we had to read, and one of the lines is, "Oh well, Jimmy's dead." And the girl that read it, when she said it, we all erupted in laughter. And I put it upon myself to ask the entire class if they would want that on a T-shirt. "Oh well, Jimmy's dead." And I put it to a vote, and they all wanted a T-shirt of "Oh well, Jimmy's dead." And my mom and I tracked down someone who makes T-shirts. This is before ink print, and we got those shirts made for the entire class.
Wow! So you got shirts made for everyone?
I do. I still have some at home if you want one, Evan.
Oh wow! We may have to take you up on that offer. Oh my gosh! That's Reno. So you were reading Shakespeare. Was it in a popcorn format in which different people read different lines and you go around the class to read?
Yes, it was in a popcorn format.
Do you feel the popcorn format reading is beneficial to your learning experience?
I would say no. I would say that it's too distracting.
Right. Well, and speaking of things being distracting, Reno, you probably had some trouble focusing on Shakespeare because you were too busy practicing for the 2005 water bottle flipping championships, which you ultimately won. Can you tell us about how that felt?
Oh, I felt elated when I won the 2005 water bottle flipping championship. After several years of trial and error and getting 4th and 5th place, I finally beat the number 1 player in the world and won.
Right. You came up at the top. You took it over.
That's right.
Who was your competition that year? Do you remember much about the experience?
I do remember the guy's name. It was Schmitty Werdenman Jensen. He was he was number 1 at that time.
Right. So you unseated Schmitty.
I did. I unseated Schmitty.
Right. That's fascinating. You really you took the world, you made it your oyster, And you flipped the crap out of those bottles.
That's right, I flipped the crap out of those bottles.
You were crowned number one, Reno. And so after long hours of work and practice, it's fair to assume that you need some time to rest and relax. One of the ways it seems that you did so was at the Casino Royale banquet in April of 2013. Can you tell us about that meeting, Reno?
The Casino Royale banquet?
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. I don't remember the Casino Royale banquet. I have to remember the Casino Royale banquet. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. It appears that you and a friend, Matt Ganellis, are smiling with in an old picture.
Yes, that was prom.
Oh, that was prom. There you go.
Yeah.
Casino Royale prom.
That's so funny. So that was junior year prom. I went stag to that prom.
Right.
And because I didn't have a date, I just kind of palled around with the boys. Mm-hmm. And that was a photo that I took with my classmate, Matt Ganellis.
That's fun. Were there lots of interesting themes to your school events at the York School?
Honestly, I can't remember any like exciting themes we had. They were just generic ones like 80s Day or Mismatch Day or like Casino Royale. We didn't have anything like Back to the Future, no Under the Water, things like that, nothing like that. Gotcha.
There does end up being what seems like a lot of interesting themes to the prom homecoming dance format. But a lot of them seem to get recycled. However, that seems as well because they just work. There are lots of people who would like to do their prom under the water with Casino Royale themed or a jazz themed prom. These are ones that pop up often because they're effective, because people have a good time at these kinds of proms.
Agreed.
And Reno, there are lots of things that we consider effective over practice and performance, as well as observing and documenting different techniques, different things, different actions, different rights. One of these, Reno, is study it for a test. We know studying for a test works, but sometimes, Reno, studying alone doesn't get you to the end. Sometimes you need a little help with a meme. And so we're wondering here, Reno, you have a favorite studying meme of the many that you provided for your classmates?
I have a couple. I used to, every finals post, I used to try to post every day some finals memes just to make myself and my classmates laugh.
Right.
And one that always sticks out of my head is I think I have the name right, David After Dentist, and he has this confused look on his face of like, what I thought was going to be on the test and, what actually was on the test, and when I got my grade back.
Right, yep. Mm-hmm. Finals, up for the challenge. We have to know what? Trying to grasp concept. Is this going to last forever? During the test? When the test has been conquered, time for a nap. Time for a nap like Mr. Davis. On the topic of rest, relaxation, recuperation, Reno, as we've discussed before, one of the things to do to allow yourself a break is to enjoy a Casino Royale formal with some friends. You can also, Reno, take on some delicious food. Of course, everyone loves a good meal. Yeah, everyone loves a good meal. You're a big fan of food, and definitely food seems to taste better after working really hard and telling yourself that you've earned it, which is true, and especially so after working very hard. So, Reno, we were wondering which food you considered the best food item ever invented, and how much you had to pay when you ate them on their national holiday in 2017.
I would say that pancakes are the food that you were referencing, and I guess I have to pay $1 for them when IHOP has their International Pancake Day.
See, it's interesting. You use IHOP in reference here, which is obviously, the first choice, the first, name that comes to mind when people think about pancakes. But you actually, on that day in 2017, ate them at Denny's. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, I talked about Denny's in their Grand Slam?
No, you had pancakes there, or so our sources believe. We may be incorrect.
So we probably went to Denny's that day.
You were at Denny's that day, and do you think you might have gotten the pancakes for free, given that it was a National Pancake Holiday?
I probably did. Your research probably has stated that I did, and I probably did, honestly. I smooth talked my way to get some free pancakes.
Do you have a favorite meal from Denny's and or IHOP?
I do. I do have a favorite meal from Denny's. It is their Moons Over My Hammy. I would say that is my favorite meal from Denny's. And from IHOP, I would say that my favorite meal from them is their short stack buttermilk pancakes.
Right, just a set of pancakes. What's your go-to snarfs order? And
my go-to snarfs order?
If it is no longer a prime rib steak sandwich, large size with the works, then what is it now?
No, that is it. That is still my snarfs order to this day.
That's your move?
Yes, sir. That's what I always get.
Reno, can you tell us some about your time in KVRX Austin?
I can. I would say that one of the constants in my life has been KVRX, and through all my trials and tribulations in life, it is the one thing that has kept me happy and kept me motivated in life. And if it was not for KVRX, I don't think I would be where I am at mentally, physically, or spiritually. It has helped me as a person, and it has given me a sense of structure, and as well, most importantly, at least to me, is it's given me friends.
That's nice. It's an important organization to so many, but you put it well, that it transcends the boundaries in which an organization exists, and it becomes something more like a lifestyle or a source of care and comfort.
That is true, and I would say, to add on to that the friends that I made at KVRX are still my friends to this day, even though they have they've landed elsewhere on the map. They are doing other things with their lives. They're still there, and I still talk to them about music sometimes, even though their taste and knowledge of music is more in depth than mine. They're always there for me.
Yeah, well, and we all have different interests, and in some ways, your taste is probably more developed than theirs. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. For instance, Reno, one of your strengths is your ability to grow. It is not only your great musical knowledge of a wealth of very special and state-specific artists, but your ability to grow facial hair. And you, not long ago, donned the Tony the Tiger outfit, complete with your Frosted Flakes box. But you did so with the special touch of a particular arrangement of facial hairs. Can you tell us in which arrangement your facial hairs were on your face for that particular evening?
Oh, when I was Tony the Tiger, I think I had a goatee.
Correct. You did have a goatee. Can you tell us about your relationship to Filipino cuisine?
I can. Filipino cuisine is something that's near and dear to my heart, as I am Filipino. I'm not a fan of flan, though. I will say that I am a great chef with in Filipino cuisine with pancit. I make some good pancit, some good adobo.
Right.
And I've always told people that if I had a last meal, it would be steamed white rice with eggs over medium and Spam. I think Delicious. That is the most perfect meal.
Yeah. spam is so severely underrated, and especially so when you cook it in the way that you need to put it on white rice.
Agreed.
Really crisp up, the spam.
The key to it is you have to have a nice crispy golden spam, and that's kind of like you have the rice down, then you put the spam, and then you put the eggs over medium on top of the spam, because the eggs kind of help it as a glue.
Right. No, that makes sense. The egg works to sort of keep it all together and organize the ingredients, would you say?
Exactly. And next time I see you, Evan, I'll make you some.
Oh, that sounds lovely. That sounds delicious. And perhaps, Reno, that dish may contain a number of important macromolecules and chemical elements necessary for survival. Reno, can you, by any chance, can you tell me what two elements are present in great amount in seaweed penchet?
Potassium and sodium.
Oh, you're close. Calcium and magnesium.
Calcium and magnesium, okay.
Interestingly enough, yes. Reno, have you ever been to Jollibee?
I've never been to a Jollibee, no.
Do you have any interest?
I would like to go to a Jollibee, as it is, what I've been told, an excellent establishment, and since it's Filipino-oriented, I've always wanted to try Filipino fast food, because that sounds very interesting.
And a neat approach to Filipino cuisine, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. Reno, the final question here, or the final, really, two questions.
Okay.
The first, we're curious about if you can tell us more on how pumpkin pies are made, because you have an interesting artifact on your Facebook page that would suggest a certain method of preparation.
So I remember correctly, pumpkin pies are made by the excretion of pumpkins when they're all done with their food.
That's right. You have a great memory. Reno, do you ever don a chef hat, much like the pumpkin, producing the shredded pumpkin for pumpkin pie?
I do not have a chef's hat in this world, but I do wear one sometimes when I play RuneScape.
Oh. Is that to go on with your costume?
That is to go on with my costume, yes. I think it adds
sweet.
an element of spice.
Yes, right, of course, which often is necessary when you're in an environment in which you can wear a chef hat. It adds that critical key piece of spice. And in a similar sense, Reno, the English language often allows us the opportunity to spice up our conversations. Reno, can you tell us about the intersection between what the author means and what your English teacher thinks that the author means?
I believe the author is just writing about a blue room, and the teacher is trying to say that since the room is blue, the character is sad or depressed.
Would you say, Reno, that the author is attempting to assert that the curtains were quote unquote effing blue?
Yes, it was the curtains, yes.
Oh, there you go. See, we often, human beings, we often like to have fun with our language. And, sometimes it puts us in a good position. Other times it runs us astray. But what we do know is at the core of our existence, is our ability to communicate in many different modes and many different methods, but under the great blanket of transmitting information from one person to another in the form of a conversation. And Reno, you probably had many conversations while working at Waffle House during season 3 of Reno's Regions. Can you tell us about your experience at the Waffle House and your relationship with the Waffle House?
The Waffle House is an amazing organization, one that I hope to visit here in Austin. But my time working at the Waffle House brought some fond memories of learning about people's lives and working through natural disasters and hurricanes, and back in California, the earthquakes that have happened. And I got in a lot of fights with customers, but I mean, it's all worth it at the Waffle House.
It's part of it. Yeah. You know, that's just, sometimes that's the living. And you brought this up briefly, Reno. It would be, it's interesting to think about and discuss. Can you tell us more about the Waffle House Emergency Disaster Response Crew?
I can. So at Waffle House, we believe that under no circumstances should we close. And we try our hardest. We have many generators in the back. And we have protocols in place to work through any natural disaster, because if people are hungry, they need to be fed.
Of course.
And Waffle House is always there for them.
Waffle House has the goods. Another place, Reno, that stays open late and offers their food to a variety of people. This is our final question today, Reno.
Yes.
Is of course, the great chain In-N-Out Burger, which has locations all across the country. Reno, and we're wondering here, can you tell us about what some of your strengths and weaknesses are working at the In-N-Out Burger location on Guadalupe Street and 27th?
What are my strengths and weaknesses working there? I would say that my strengths working there are dealing with customers in person, as I believe I was one of the best level ones working there.
Right.
I would say that my weaknesses would be multitasking, as I'm not a great multitasker. And I had difficulty working in the corner.
What are your thoughts and feelings on peeling potatoes, Reno?
Oh, peeling potatoes, that's a tricky subject. I love peeling potatoes, maneuver around the moldy potatoes that we get for shipment sometimes.
You have to navigate. It's a tough obstacle to work around sometimes.
Yes.
What about, Reno, what about your time working at the drive-through window? How is that?
Oh, it's very difficult. The hardest part, especially during COVID, is trying to understand people's orders. And when people are talking to a box and not a person, they're not very pleasant. And so a lot of times, a small miscommunication could turn into a big miscommunication or a verbal dispute. And that was never fun.
Reno, do you ever use such alluring distractions as your adorable husky dog Stark to defuse such high-stress conflicts at the In-N-Out Burger?
No, In-N-Out Burger, I was known for handing out hats and stickers to diffuse any situation.
And that seemed to work?
It always works. People love hats, and people especially love stickers.
That's a good point. You can't really go wrong with hats and stickers. And In-N-Out Burger overall is pretty tasty. Wow. Reno, thank you for this excellent conversation. Do you have any final thoughts?
I do, Evan. I would like to say thank you very much for being part of my life and for helping guide me in my long journey in my life. It's been a pleasure knowing you, Evan, and it will continue to be a pleasure to know you, Evan.
Yes, it will. You're kind to say, and the feeling is mutual. Thank you for your goodness and kindness and love. You are greatly appreciated, Reno.